Hey all, Steve from GuitarNiche here. We have a pretty interesting patient on the bench today. It's a relatively recent issue of a Gibson Les Paul, very nice instrument. And it went out for, or came in I should say, for some work, setup, etc. And then it came back. This is going to be interesting. I guarantee this is going to be interesting. I did the full setup on it, etc., etc. I did the, the intonation, all that good stuff. And the fellow who owns it said, I'm having problems with it, with the tuning. And he invited me over and he said, look at what I found on some specs. He's got a room full of wonderful guitars, like really, really nice instruments. And because he's an engineer, he took the time to measure some stuff with instruments that he knows are correct and sound great to him. And this one, although it sounds acoustically and electronically, it sounds great, he's having problems with the tuning. And part of the reason it was in for me, or to me, was to have the nut replaced. He's a fan of, let's say he's not a fan of factory nuts. He wants like the something hand tinkered. Let's put it that way. So I did what I did and put a nice bone nut in there, whether it's bone, Korean, Korean, I should say, or some other synthetic material. That's not the point here. What I'm going to get at is something very interesting. He showed me through his research where the problem was lying, and I wound up kicking myself because I'm going, oh my God, this just justifies everything I've been saying about intonation forever, but I have overlooked something that I never thought I would have to deal with. And I'll get to it in a roundabout way. Bear with me, because this is kind of cool. So he has, a nice set of calipers similar to this. We all have, if you're into anything that requires, some sensitive measurements and stuff like that, And he gave me a spec sheet on calibrating the frets and the nut and stuff like that. And I was thinking about this video and I'm going, okay, I can measure, I gotta do this backwards. I can measure from here to the center line of the fret, and then I can measure the next fret, and I can measure the next fret, measure the next blah, 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 to see what's what. And that will produce exact results. But I'm not gonna do that because I'm gonna show you a super simple way to do it without any special tools or exacto measurements. Not that that's a bad thing. Don't get me wrong. Not that that's a bad thing. But this is how I learned a trick, just using my rather empty cranium. And it works like this. I'm going to draw a line from the leading edge of the nut here to the midpoint of our first fret. And it might be a little sloppy because I'm trying to work around the camera and stuff. But so that right there, that is the nut. Okay, so distance to our center line, top of the fret, within a few, micros, right? Now we're going to go to the next fret, and I'm just going to go from the leading edge of this fret to this fret. And I'm using a pen. Normally I would use a pencil because it's more refined, but I'm using a pen just to make sure that we can see what we're trying to deal with. And that's for the leading edge of that. If I go to the next fret, the third fret, that's the leading edge of that. And right away, you can see a pattern developing. Oops, that one's a little off. And I'll go here. I'm just going to double check this one. Yeah, that should be there. But look at what we have right away. Just going up a few frets. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. What do you notice here? You see that? That's a big no-no in terms of intonation and musicality. The distance from the first fret to the leading edge of the nut on center, even if that is a little exaggerated, I'll fatten that up a little bit, but it's still not what it's supposed to be. So this is something totally unexpected. Anybody who's into bashing Gibson products for quality control is going to have, well, you know, oh yeah, I saw this video where this guy, like, he showed you right up front, like look, they can't even keep that together. Whatever. It's it is what it is. I hate to have to call this out, but that's just plain crap. It really is. This is not intentional. I guarantee you this is not intentional. If anything, that center line on the first fret should be at least there. You know? And if you want to take it a step further and add a little compensated tuning, maybe a little bit more. But that's for another story. Anyway, so my task at this point is to, and I've built this nut. I mean, you know, like it's a nice nut. I like my nuts. You should like nuts too. Your own nuts anyway. And I got to tear that out, excavate a certain amount of end of the fretboard and make a custom nut for this. It's going to be a nut job. Anyway, I hate having to do this, but the reality is pretty evident. I mean, even with fat lines on a business card, you can see it just doesn't add up. Okay, and I did do the tests beforehand. I was checking it with my meter a couple different ways, and I'm going, yeah, this is just, yeah. I wasn't expecting it. It was within kind of acceptable tolerances, but it just wasn't right. And the way it manifested was in the 4s, 5s, and octaves further down into the neck here. Okay, you play, especially like playing an A chord open. It just, you know, like you had to fight between an open G and an open, like, or a fretted A and an E, and you know, like up the neck was maybe not so bad because my intonation method uses you know, fretted notes and harmonic points to get around exactly this issue. And it struck me, oh my gosh, I have dealt with so many instruments that have issues with 4s, 5s, open notes being inconsistent. And I'm going, that's why. But I never thought for the life of me, I got to make a point of this. Please, if there's one point in this video that I want you to take notice or get any value of, is don't assume the guitar is made the way it's supposed to be made on spec. This is highly technical when we get down to the nth degrees, but this surprised the crap out of me. I was not expecting this Phantom to come out of the Gibson woodwork. I hate to use the name, but it is what it is, you know? I gotta, you know, being a fan of better made guitars, the proof is in the pudding, and that's it right there, right in front of you. Anyway, as I said earlier, I could spec that out with my calipers and stuff like that. But this is, you can do this anybody can do this with just even a sticky note or any piece of paper and a pen or pencil, and check the accuracy of your frets. It's enlightening. I tell you, it's enlightening. If you have issues with something doesn't sound right down in the regular chords, it's not staying in tune. It doesn't want to stay in tune. The D sounds great. The G sounds like crap. The A sounds fine. The E sounds like crap, or something like that. Take the time to spec this out, and you may find the culprit is right there. Anyway, this is a very, very valuable video. I hope you get something out of this. You know, whether I, you know, follow up or add to the video after the fact, I don't know if that's really relevant. I think the point is made where this is such a critical issue, and there's evidence. I've just shown you evidence of what the issue is. How we know how it's going to get fixed. I'm going to carve the end of the fretboard. I'm going to put a new nut in, fashion it. That's not an issue. That's just, you know, fabrication. Anyway, before I go, sorry. Make sure you read the notes below in the description. Lots of free resources, lots of stuff like this, and many other goodies and stuff like that there too. Anyway, I'm signing off now. Have a great day. Play loud and have fun. See ya. Cheers.